Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 824, 824, Saturday, June the 29th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, let's get to the news of the day. First, let's cover the second debates on Thursday evening, Democratic debates for the Demo commies challenging to be the person to lose badly to Trump in 2020. Okay, so really the second night of debates, there was obviously a lot more. On the first night, there wasn't too much direct attacks on Trump. Certainly in the second debate, a lot of attacks on Trump. They really went for the red meat, and that had a lot to do with the fact that you had Democrats asking questions of Democrats. And so the primary objective of the evening, based on the type of questions that were being asked by the Democratic moderators, were set-up questions to set up the person they were asking the question to give them an opportunity to throw some red meat at the base by attacking Trump. So it was attack Trump for the most part was the main goal. Now, early on in the debates, the first 15-20 minutes, they were going at each other, pretty much like what we saw on the first night. Probably the most mind-boggling thing that happened in the second debate was when the Democrats, the Demo commies, were asked by the Democrat moderators the question. They wanted everyone on the stage to raise their hand if they would support guaranteeing free government health care to all illegal aliens. Free government health care to all illegal aliens. All 10 raised their hands. That just wiped out all 10 of them. And we saw from the first night, it was Elizabeth Warren, Hiawatha, along with Comrade Bill de Blasio. They were the two that raised their hands on a very similar question. And as I said, I think that's going to be. This is this is mind-boggling. I mean, I don't even know how to process it because I've been watching, this type of politics for 40 years, and I've just never seen anything quite like it. There's a certain level of common sense that all politicians have and political parties have. They know there's certain things that you just don't do. You don't support. They're killers, and this is a killer. I can't really, in my mind, I cannot work this thing out, where this is coming from. Who in the world is advising these people? How is it possible that the Demo commies in the media asking the questions, or any of those people on stage, any of the people behind them, their advisors, the various people that they work with, the groups, the DCCC, the DNC, have they arrived at this conclusion that it's a good position to take? To say that you would guarantee free health care for all illegal aliens in the country? I mean, have they determined this is a good position to take? That there's some political gain? I have a theory on that, which I'll get to in just a moment, but it's really hard for me to process this because the logical part of my brain just rejects this. I don't know what you guys thought when you saw that, but it's mind-boggling to have witnessed that. I saw it the other night, only 2 people raised their hands. Last night, it was all 10. That's incredible, including the front runner, Joe Bite Me. So that was a pretty awesome moment, I think, and I think it's very telling. And I think the big winner again last night, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the debates, both debates, debate night 1 and 2, was undoubtedly President Trump. He won big. He won very, very big in both debates. And the big loser, of course, I said on Wednesday night, was Pocahontas, or Hiawatha, Elizabeth Warren, whatever you want to call it. Last night's big loser, undoubtedly, without any question, would have been Crazy Uncle Joe. I don't know what's going on with Biden. Well, actually, I do. He looked very unprepared. He looked very confused in some instances, and like he just wasn't all there. And I don't think he is all there. I mean, I don't really think Biden has all his mental faculties, and even when he did, he was still coming up, a little short, if you know what I mean. Even Joe Biden at his best is a mental midget. So now that has diminished faculties, it's even worse. I mean, this guy ought to get out tomorrow. He should just get out now. It can only get worse, as most of you know. If you've watched my videos, you know I said when Biden jumps in, he'll go to the top, and whatever he is, whatever number he hits, that's the highest he will go, and he will continue to go down. And I said as soon as he gets in the debates that he is going to get knocked down each and every debate. He'll lose more and more points. Sometimes a candidate like that can recover if they're pretty smart, if they learn from their mistakes. I mean, we saw Trump recover, we saw Reagan recover, we saw Clinton recover. We've seen good politicians who can take a hit, learn from it, and grow from it, and then go back and get back in the game and get those points back. But that requires that you be fairly astute, able to think on your feet, and be pretty smart and pretty clever. And Biden is none of those things. He is a man of diminished mental faculties. And so he doesn't have the ability to pull himself back up. He just doesn't. And so, as I said, once Biden gets in the debates, he will get knocked down. I didn't know exactly. I think I said that I think after 3 debates, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I said, I think after all 3 debates, that Biden is probably going to be somewhere in the low double digits. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I don't think that after 3 debates that Biden will be ever see more than 15% again. The only way that would happen is if he can somehow put together enough money that he can stick around. If he could place if he can stay around long enough to even make it into the primaries, if he can place in the top 2 in the first 2 primaries, he could stick around. But as I've been saying for a very long time, I just don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he has the mental fitness to do it. I just don't. And I've felt that way since the very beginning. He is not, and again, I mean, the Democratic field, in order to attack Biden, they're essentially having to attack Obama as well. They really don't want to do that because they would like to have Obama's endorsement. But Obama isn't going to endorse anybody until there's a nominee. And once the nominee comes out, he'll endorse that nominee, regardless of whether they attacked him or not. Now, last night, it was Kamala Harris. She is the one who went after Biden, particularly on the race issue. And she scored some points on that, and Biden took the hit. And if you noticed, Biden really had no response for her, really. And there was another time that he got attacked that also he had no response, and that came from Swallowell. When Swallowell said, yeah, Uncle Joe, 40 years ago you came to California, gave a speech and said it's time to pass the torch. Well, it's time for you to pass the torch now to the younger generation. And of course, the only thing Biden could say is, oh, I'm holding on to that torch. Not really a very good comeback. And then Bernie tried to pull Biden's chestnuts out of the fire by jumping in and saying, hey, in fairness to Joe, it's not how old you are, it's about the age of your ideas and blah, 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 blah. It's a similar argument that Ron Paul used to make. So, and there's some credit to that. It's not so much Biden's age, although it's part of the problem. It's the fact that he's not a very smart guy. And his mental faculties are not what they used to be, and they never were that good. He's never been a good campaigner. He's not good on the stump. He's not quick on his feet. He's a flip-flopper. He's an establishment career politician, and he has a whole lot of junk in his closet. And the only thing coming out here was raising issues, and once he's been beaten down and beaten to death in the polls and has nowhere to go but out of the race, then he's gonna have all this China stuff that will have been drudged out because he jumped in the race, and then that's going to come back and bite his ass and chew his butt for probably the rest of his life and his son's life, and who knows where that could end up. Horrible decision by Biden to even jump in the race. There was no reason. He had nothing to offer from the very beginning, other than I'm not Trump, and he surely isn't Trump. That's pretty obvious. But the gaffe master of all gaffe masters, I don't know how many of you caught this gaffe, but he was asked, what's the first thing that you'll do after becoming president? And I believe his comment was, well, the first thing I'm going to do is defeat Donald Trump. It's like, wait. The first thing that you're going to do after you become president is defeat Donald Trump? In order to become president, you would have had to have defeated Donald Trump. You see, this is what I mean. He's not, his mind, I've watched him do this for years and years and years. This is what he does constantly. And if he just did it once or twice or three times or over a period of years or something, you say, oh, okay, that was just a little mess up, a slip of the tongue, he misspoke, it's a little gaffe, sometimes. But this is something, he's done this hundreds and hundreds of times. This is his MO. This is what he does. He says stupid stuff like that doesn't make sense. He should catch, this should never make it out of his mind. And if it does make it out of his mind and out of his mouth, he should immediately correct it. But he doesn't. He doesn't even catch it. It goes right through him as well. I mean, and this is just a small example. That's not the big thing, but that's just something I noticed. So now the after next day polls indicating that he lost 10 points last night, and that's possibly true. It's hard to say what to see. I don't look at polls the first week after debates. You actually have to wait for the 3 debates, all 3 to happen, and you know it's fun to talk about them as they're going on, but you have to watch all the debates, and then you have to. And after watching all the debates, then you have to wait about a week or 2 and let the dust settle, and then that's when you actually get a real number. I think at the end of the 3 debates, I think when the dust settles, the real number for Biden will be that he probably did lose somewhere around 10 to 12 points, maybe a little more. I don't know that he lost 10 in one night. It's possible, but you know, we'll see where it is. But either way, there's no question he was the absolute biggest loser of the night. So that means that on Wednesday night, the biggest loser was one of the top tier contenders, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. And on the second night, the biggest loser was the front runner. So here we can see that the top tier, and of course Bernie would be the other one, and he didn't have a very good night according to what people are saying, and he has no chance anyway. So here's your top 3. Crazy Uncle Joe, Hiawatha, and Crazy Bernie, Commie Bernie. And all 3 of them are basically toast already. One debate. And they still have a long, long way to go. That's why I'm telling you, watch for the rotten Reverend Clinton. She knows all this was going to happen, just like I did, and you guys did. We all knew this was going to happen, and so does she. She's just waiting for the opportunity. I'm telling you, watch for the rotten Reverend to throw her hat in somewhere, I'm thinking late August, early September. That's my guess. She may jump sooner if she sees the opportunity. If Biden flames out faster than we thought he would, and Hiawatha flames out, and I think she's going to as well, that opens the door for the rotten Reverend, because there is no one else. Once those 3 go away, there really is no one else. And again, as I said the first night, none of them people are presidential, and none of them can stay on the stage with Trump. He will dominate the room with any of these people. Will not even be close. So the Democrat agenda based on 2 nights of debates. What have we ascertained? Well, it appears that the agenda for the demo commies in 2020 is they are going to be running against Trump on taxing the middle class, confiscating your guns, reparations for slavery, free insurance for illegals, open borders in a sanctuary country, and to abolish private health care insurance. These are big, fat losers. Big losers. I mean the type of losers that could allow Trump. I believe for about the past, well, since 2000 at least, that the days of a landslide probably are behind us, because things are so much different now in the country than they were back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even into the 90s. But now, when you look at this, I'm starting to think that, you know, Trump and the Republicans ought to maybe send some campaign people out to the West Coast. They maybe ought to get some people out in California and Oregon, maybe even in Washington. They maybe want to go down to New Mexico, maybe over to Colorado. A lot of these states, blue states that are slightly, maybe just a tinge purple, man, they need to get people on the ground there. California, I'm telling you folks, if these are the issues that the Democratic Party are going to put front and center, and they pretty much established that in the first 2 debates, these people are on record. If that's the case, then like I said, they could lose 43, 44, 45, maybe 46 states, at least 43, I think. And that's the way it's looking. Unbelievable what we're witnessing. Could be the end of the Democratic Party as we know it. In fact, they should just change the name of the party to the American Communist Party or American Socialist Party or something. They're no longer the Democratic Party. Those days are over. This is something different. We've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. Let's get on with the rest of the news. So there you go. Trump, the big winner again, and the Democrats in general, the big losers, with Joe Biden being the biggest loser of the 2 nights put together, I think. But one last observation. It's pretty clear, based on these 2 debates, one thing is pretty clear. It is true what we have been hearing and people have been talking about, that the Democrats have made a decision, obviously at the corporate level, because this is across the board. They've obviously made a decision at the corporate level to give up the white, middle-class, blue-collar vote. And it's not even just white. It's the blacks. The blacks were their biggest constituency for years, who they played to. But the people who are at most threat from massive illegal immigration, and even legal immigration for that matter, into the cities and urban areas are blacks. That's who a lot of these jobs get taken from and things and such. That's who's hurt the most. And blacks are starting to realize that. If they haven't already, many of them have. So I think that it's obvious at this point that the Democratic Party has decided to give up the blue-collar, middle-class vote, particularly in the Rust Belt in the South. And it appears that they're willing to lose the black vote as well, because they're not necessarily, because they can't have both. They can't play to the Hispanic Latino group and at the same time think that that's going to somehow play well for the black community, because the 2 are at odds. They're fighting for the same jobs, the same opportunities, the same benefits, and all the rest. So I think that you can probably include blacks in it. I think that the Democratic Party has cast their lot with what they believe, I guess, there's enough Hispanic, Latino voters in the country, enough women who will vote on one issue for abortion, that they believe that they can win elections based on that, and they can give up the blue collar working class voters, particularly in the Midwest, the Rust Belt, and the South. And I think that this is I don't think the numbers are there. So anyway, maybe it's something they think for the long term, but they're not going to make it to the long term. They're going to get so wiped out in the next 2 election cycles, that it's not going to matter. That future is never going to arrive. So anyway, I think that we can conclude that from the last 2 nights, is that this shows a major shift in strategy thinking at the highest levels of the Democratic National Committee, the DCCC, and the Democratic Party in general. It looks like that's the way they've decided to go. I don't think it's going to work out. So now we're learning that Glenn Simpson compiled research on Iran for the Obama administration throughout the years of the Obama administration. Glenn Simpson was working for the Obama administration throughout both terms of the Obama administration, compiling research on Iran. What's this tell us? It tells us that Glenn Simpson's relationship isn't just with the intelligence community, isn't just with Perkins Coie, Christopher Steele, the Right Reverend Clinton. No, it's also a close relationship with the Obama administration. Now, specifically, who in his administration directed or contracted Glenn Simpson is not disclosed, but someone in the administration of Barack Obama had to be the one who contracted Glenn Simpson to do this work, to compile this information on Iran. But it shows again more of how much more Glenn Simpson is involved in the Obama administration, and he wasn't just this outsider that was paid to do this opposition research. He is very, very deeply connected within the very roots of the Obama administration. More needs to be done to look into his relationship with the Obama administration. I mean, there's so much to look at here. The deeper you dig, the deeper you got to dig. It's just absolutely incredible what is being unearthed. And what a slime ball that Glenn Simpson is. Because when he was being questioned in Congress, these are all things that should have been volunteered or discussed or talked to with Congress if he was being open and honest and truthful. And you can see from his initial examination to what we've learned in the years after that, how many things that he lied about, some direct lies, some many, many lies of omission. And this would fall in the category of a lie of omission. Well, we have that idiot Jimmy Carter, the former president, saying that Trump is an illegitimate president and it was put into office by Russia. And if it was a real investigation, we would get to the bottom of that. You got to wonder, man, what's wrong with his mental capacity. And the thing is, in this interview, he's sitting right next to Fritz. That's right. He's sitting right next to Mondale. And what did Mondale campaign on? He went across the country campaigning, guaranteeing he was going to raise our taxes. And what happened to him? He lost 49 states. He lost 49 states to Ronald Reagan. Now, I remember the 4 years of Jimmy Carter. It was absolute misery. For those of you who are old enough to remember the 4 years of Carter's presidency, it was absolute misery. I mean, the economy was in the tank. I remember we had, it was a major, I think, it wasn't even, they didn't call it a recession. They called it stagflation or something. We had, like, really high interest rates, really high unemployment, high inflation, energy costs were just skyrocketing at the time. We had a lot of problems in the Middle East, driving up oil prices and energy prices. It was just a disaster. The 4 years of Carter were miserable, man. I mean, miserable to be an American. And then on top of that, we had the 444-day hostage crisis, where the Iranian students took our embassy people hostage for 444 days. Jimmy couldn't get it figured out. Never did. He left office with the hostages still there. They released the hostages on the very minute. As soon as Reagan put up his hand and took the oath of office to become the next president, is the exact moment they released the hostages. And I remember that time very well. I think I was like a freshman in high school when that thing started, and I just remember being so angry because I'm thinking, man, this is Iran, and this is Iran in 1970, 76, 77. I mean, it wasn't like, I think it was 77. No, it was 78. I believe it was 78, late 78. And so I just remember how angry I was back then, and a lot of people angry that the Iranians were playing us day after day after day after day after day. And I mean, they didn't really have a military at the time, I mean, that was anything to speak about. I mean, it was, it was somewhat robust for a military in the Middle East or something, but they had no nukes or anything, no real powerful weapons, no long-range weapons, no missiles capable of hitting us. They really didn't have that much, yet we let them go on for 444 days, dragging us through this at the same time, causing all the disruptions in the Middle East and oil prices. I remember the gas rationing. They would give us the gas card, this little punch-out card, for 30 days, and every time you get gallons of gas, they punch it out. And when you ran out of your limit, your ration of gas, you had to go to, like where I went to high school, where I had to go look around for people who had, I had to buy ration cards off other people, to get gas to get to school and work. And gas lines, you pull up to the gas station, there'll be gas stations closed, so fewer stations open, so there'll be long gas lines, especially at the beginning of the month when everybody gets their cards and stuff. It was just a disaster, man. And I just remember thinking at that time, it would have been so easy to end that Iranian crisis, man. Could have been easy, could have been ended in 24 hours. The only thing Carter had to do was pick up the phone or send a wire to the Ayatollah and say, listen, man, here's how it works. You got 444 of our hostages. If they are not released in 24 hours, I am going to put a ballistic missile right up your ass. Right up your ass. Personally, your ass, not your country. Your ass. We're watching you. We're watching you. We know where you are. We're following you. We know exactly where you are, and we're going to put a missile right up your ass. And if our hostages aren't released, you'll be dead. And then the next guy up, it'll be the same deal for him. And we'll just keep putting ballistic missiles up your ass until someone lets go of our hostages. I mean, he never ever used any of the ability that we had or capability we had to resolve that issue. And it was sad. Those were very, very bad years. So here we have Carter, the last guy in the world who should be commenting on anything. We just had 4 investigations. They found absolutely nothing. And the real crime is being investigated now. This just shows what a dope Carter is. What a dope. Jeez. Go back to building houses. I don't know if any of you caught the clip of Jake Crapper over there at CNN. He had AOC, the wild-eyed commie, on, and he looked her pretty much directly in the eye and said, hey, why didn't you say that Obama and Clinton were running concentration camps while they were in office? Because they were doing the exact same thing that's happening right now under the Trump administration. And man, she had a look on her face like she didn't know that was coming. And she just said, oh, well, back then, I was working in a restaurant. I was a bartender. Yeah, that's true. You were a bartender back then. You were working in a restaurant. But you're making those comments now, posting on Twitter as if this is something new, that this is something that the Trump administration did, when in fact it's disingenuous because it's something that's been going on for a very long time, and it was Obama's idea, according to his own ICE director. His own ICE director says it was Obama's idea to build the cages, to put the kids in the cages. That was Obama's idea, not Trump's. And this stuff's been going on during the Clinton years, during the Bush years, during the Obama years. Trump's the guy that's actually solving the problem. We're trying to, if idiots like the wild-eyed commie would actually cooperate and help him solve the problem. She voted against the damn funding to get blankets and other supplies and food and medicine and other things that those people need down there. She just voted against the damn bill that would have sent them the relief. By far the stupidest person who's ever been in Congress. And that's saying something, because there's some real nitwits. Dumbass of the week this week is going to be nearly impossible. It's going to be nearly impossible. I don't know how I'm going to vote. It's nearly impossible. The competition this week is maybe the toughest week ever for Dumbass of the Week. It's hard to imagine. I don't know who's going to win. There's so many incredibly what's the word? I don't know. But there's so many people, so many candidates this week that certainly deserve the honor, the dishonor, I should say. Let's get to the next story, and it's Judicial Watch coming through once again. And here's another. My God, we've had so many things come out. If Barr and Durham or whoever the hell isn't investigating and reopening the Clinton email investigation, this certainly should get it done right here. Judicial Watch has deposed, based on a court order by a judge. Judicial Watch has just finished deposing Rotten Reverend Clinton's lawyer, Heather Samuelson. And during that deposition, Samuelson gives a different answer than what she gave the FBI about when she learned about the Rotten Reverend Clinton's private server. The FBI, of course, gave Samuelson immunity. Oh, they gave her immunity, so she went ahead and lied. So the FBI gave Samuelson immunity. And she is also the one, let's keep in mind, that directed the destruction of the 33,000 emails. Samuelson told Judicial Watch that she was aware of the Rotten Reverend Clinton's private server while Hillary was the Secretary of State between 2009 and 2013. But Samuelson told the FBI that she was not aware of the private server until she was serving as the Rotten Reverend Clinton's lawyer, which would have been in 2014. So she tells Judicial Watch that she knew about the server while Hillary was Secretary of State between 2009 and 2013. She told the FBI she wasn't aware of the server until 2014 when she was Hillary's lawyer. She also admits that there were 3 months of missing emails, January through March of 2009. Not a single email on that server. Where did they go? Platte River, she says, told her that they had no emails from that time period. That case, the Hillary Clinton email investigation, if it is not reopened, it certainly needs to be. Well, we have Ellen Barkin. I thought she was dead. Is she still alive? I thought she was dead. I know she made some movies back in the 80s. I haven't heard anything about her, but and it's not important about her. It's not her I care so much about. It's this comment, because I think it gets to the core of something I've felt and believed for a very long time. She says that Trump's base is the most extreme right-wing. She says Trump's base, that we are the most extreme right-wingers since the Nazis. Most extreme right-wingers since the Nazis. Well, first of all, the Nazis stood for National Socialist Party. The Nazis were far left-wing, not right-wing. They were far left-wing. Ellen, you dumb shit. These Hollywood people are dumber than dirt. Dumber than dirt. But the important thing here is something I've felt for a very long time. Yeah, they don't like Trump. They don't like Trump. But what they really hate and despise is all of us for voting for him. That's where the real hatred lies. We're the real target, not Trump. They can't do anything to Trump. He's a billionaire, and he don't give a damn. He's actually enjoying the experience. He's having a hell of a good time. It's us, the people who voted for him. We're the ones they really hate. Thank you, Ellen Barkin. Thank you, Ellen Barkin, for making that perfectly clear, something I suspected, and many of you, I'm sure, suspected the same, for a very long time. Now that we got that out in the open. But by the way, Ellen, the Nazis were left-wingers. Socialists. Authoritarian socialists. A lot like you, Ellen, and all your friends. You bitch. Your movie sucked anyway. Mika and Joe said last night was a disaster for the Demo-Commie Party. Yes, it was, Mika and Joe. And the night before wasn't much better, was it? Well, they're saying that Kamala Harris was the big winner last night, that she gained 10 points, and she got those 10 points from Biden because of the way she attacked him. And it had a lot to do with that story she told. That little story she told about, she was that little girl that was put on the bus. And if it wasn't for all the hard work of the civil rights people, that she never would have made it to being a U.S. Senator. Well, I think that that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit. Because we know how she got to be a U.S. Senator. We know where she got her power. She got her power and her start in the upper tier of government, in the bedroom of California governor, or was he the mayor at the time? California politician Willie Brown. Kamala Harris got her political start in the bedroom of Willie Brown. If not for the behavior or the antics or whatever they engaged in, whatever it was she did with Willie Brown, that's how she got her start in politics. It had nothing to do with getting on or off a bus or because of some civil rights marches. No. It had to do with her activities between the sheets with Willie Brown. And Willie Brown once said, Kamala only does one thing really well. What do you think that is? What do you think the one thing is that Willie Brown says that Kamala does really well? I don't think it's legislate. That's where she got her start. That's what they should say. If I were on that debate stage, I would have corrected her. I would have looked at her and said, I'm sorry, Kamala, but I believe that you got your start in the bedroom of Willie Brown. Did you not? I think that's actually who you need to thank and credit for how you got to be a U.S. Senator. Without servicing Willie Brown, you wouldn't be servicing all of us.